everyone, my name is Alan. Thanks for finding my channel, Inventions of Brooklyn. And today, folks, I want to do a video on something really interesting. I was thinking about the most important invention that was ever invented out of Brooklyn. And I thought about some really solid inventions. For instance, the air conditioner was invented in Brooklyn. And my own personal weakness, this stuff here, was invented in Brooklyn. Nathan's hot dogs, an amazing invention out of Brooklyn. As I walk around Walmart and I see a million different items over here, I realized that the most important invention ever invented in Brooklyn was the teddy bear. A lot of people don't realize that the teddy bear was actually invented in Brooklyn way back in 1902, actually in November of 1902. And it was a really interesting story of how that happened. I stand with the teddy bears here. President Theodore Roosevelt was on a hunting trip in Mississippi, and he was an avid hunter. He was, of course, he made the charge up San Juan Hill, was very famous for his bravery. So he was he was obviously a man of honor. He was president. So he was on this hunting trip. And I guess, as it is when you're president or, when you have some kind of high position, you always have people around you trying to make things easier for you or maybe, butter up to you or whatever. So while he was on the trip, he was hunting, and one of these guys actually caught a bear. And Roosevelt wasn't really hunting for any particular animal, but this guy decided that he was going to tie the bear to a tree and make an easy target for the president. Okay, here you go, you can shoot a bear. And it was a bear cub. It wasn't even a large-sized bear. So President Roosevelt went over to it and he said, you know what? I'm not going to shoot that teddy bear. He actually called it a teddy bear. He said, because, that's not sporting. This is, it's not a sporting thing to do. He's trapped. He's on a leash, and that's no way of doing it. And luckily, there was a reporter on scene to commemorate the event, and they actually made a cartoon about it. And it was shown all over the world, especially in the United States. And what happened was there was a couple in Brooklyn who owned like a small toy store. And the small toy store was in Brooklyn, in Bedford-Stuyvesant, on 408 Tompkins Avenue, which is funny because my family and I had a Hallmark store for 27 years. I originally heard the story way back in 1986 when we first bought. We had a small store at first, and we had this really wacky and crazy landlord, and he had been jailed for locking tenants out of their apartments, and but he always got really happy when it was time for the rent. They always said, the first of the month is always the landlord's birthday, and he would be so happy, and he'd come in and he'd say, hey, who's the banker today? So one day I handed him the check, for the rent, and he was like, oh, do you know the story of the teddy bear? And he repeated that story that I told you, with a much thicker accent, of course. And that was where I first heard of that story. But what was so interesting was that I never knew, having the gift shop in Brooklyn, that the teddy bear was actually invented so close. I mean, you're talking, it was within a mile and a half of where our store was, because our store is on 236 Prosper Park West. And I got to thinking about the teddy bear and how important it is in American culture. It was invented by, Rose and Milton Michtom, and it was a different generation back then. They were Russian immigrants, and they didn't even just do the bear. When they heard about the story, they actually wrote President Roosevelt a letter, and he responded to it. So I actually have a copy of that letter that I'll put up here, and I'll show that to you. And once he approved of it, they started making these bears, and they actually opened up a factory, and it became so successful that they closed the toy store, and they started making these bears. And from then on, the teddy bear became a huge thing. And the teddy bear's actual birthday is February 15th, 1903, because they got the okay. By the time they mass produced it, it was February of 15th of 03, 1903. Think about the teddy bear in popular culture. I mean, like I said, I was thinking about the Nathan's hot dogs. I mean, what invention in Brooklyn was there that really was a huge invention? And I said to myself, well, some people are vegetarians, so you really can't say the hot dog. Then I thought about air conditioning. Well, not everybody lives in a hot climate, so you really can't maybe put it on air conditioning. But when you talk about the teddy bear, think about Valentine's Day without a teddy bear. I mean, we had, a Hallmark Gold Crown store in a neighborhood. And God, if I had $10 for every teddy bear that I sold over the years through Hallmark, I'd be pretty darn rich. So, when I think about it, and then you think about the teddy bear in popular culture in terms of, think about the show MASH, with Radar O'Reilly. I mean, what was his signature thing? He used to have the teddy bear, and he used to sleep with the teddy bear, and that was the thing all through MASH. And if you remember, at the end of MASH, it was so sad when, it wasn't the end of MASH, it was when Radar actually went home. It was the saddest thing that he decided that he was going to leave the teddy bear to Hawkeye, and I don't think there was a dry eye anywhere in anybody who was watching MASH. So think about that in popular culture, you know? And another thing I think about is you think about songs in popular culture. Think about one of Elvis Presley's most popular songs other than Hound Dog. It was Teddy Bear song, you know, and how many people bought teddy bears, and you know, there was a famous show, and it was talking about people used to send Elvis Presley hound dogs and teddy bears like crazy. Obviously it was mostly the girls who did that, and he had tons of them, and Elvis was a nice guy. Elvis used to donate them to kids charities. You know, he'd keep a few of them, but he used to donate most of them to the charities. So where would popular culture be without the teddy bear? So I thought, you know, in thinking about things, I mean, if you guys can think of a better invention that came out of Brooklyn, I mean, there might be better inventions, there might be inventions that were maybe life-saving, but when you think of something that lasted, I mean, they also invented roller coasters. The first roller coaster was invented in Brooklyn, but again, not everybody goes on roller coasters. Everybody knows teddy bears. Everybody has had a teddy bear, or all the things that have come from teddy bears later on, whether it be giraffes or, you know, any kind of animal, zoo animals, elephants, whatever. What's really funny is that I looked up 408 Tompkins Avenue because I've lived around there for almost all my life, you know, within a couple miles of there. But I looked up 408 Tompkins Avenue to see what was there these days, and there's a plumbing supply, Tompkins Plumbing Supply. So I just took a wild shot. I thought I would just phone them up and see if they really knew what kind of history they were sitting on over there. But they answered the phone, and they were just not really too interested, and they just thought it was a crank call. And I said, you know, that was the place where the teddy bear was invented. Did you know that? No, we didn't really know that, but we're kind of busy, and you know, so I don't know. But I thought it was pretty cool, so we gave them a chance. Maybe one day I'll give them a call back and see if they've changed their heart in terms of realizing they're sitting on history over there on 408 Tompkins Avenue. Folks, if you enjoyed that video, I appreciate if you like, subscribe, share. All the proceeds from this channel go to suicide prevention. We lost our son in 2019, August of 2019, to suicide, and we have a foundation for him. It's called the Waffles Foundation. We donate musical instruments to kids, people who can't afford to play musical instruments. We pair them up with lessons. All the proceeds from this channel go to suicide prevention, go to that foundation. We're a bona fide 501c3, hopefully within the next 3 to 4 weeks. And currently we are recognized by Florida as a non-for-profit in the state of Florida. So we'd appreciate all, any and all donations. We're on Venmo, we're on PayPal. You can look us up on the internet. So now, no further ado, here's a tribute to the teddy bear in American culture. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks, folks.